Hey guys, VTech here, Blueberry Hill. So here we are finishing the panels for the living room. We're trying to get this dried in, of course, so we can do the roof and then move our way to doing the concrete floors. In any case, I'm just basically seaming the last large panels. This middle section I'm working on right now is roughly 6 feet wide, so this was the heaviest one we've done so far. And I'm using the jib boom. Works pretty good. Just try to stay out of the way and get it up there, and then I'll move the scaffolding in place so it won't fall on anything, including me. So overall, I'm not rushing anything. I'm just moving so I don't get dead on the project. The stuff is pretty heavy, this section anyway, and all the other ones, they're going to be a little bit smaller. You'll see that the hole left on the left side will be roughly about 3 feet wide, so it won't be too bad. Anyway, just rinse and repeat, and easy peasy, slow and go. I did basically a section per day, just because it takes, you hope it takes an hour and a half. It always takes like 3 hours, so a lot of little stuff to work on, but everything works pretty good. So all these panels, basically, if you watch the prior video, I just hoist it up there, move it into place, and I run up the scaffold, clamp it down, and then I start welding the upper section first, and then I come back down and weld the bottom. I also used sheet metal screws. I don't really show you that, but when I'm seaming the panels together, I cinch them together with the metal screws, and then I do a light tack weld with a 3/32 rod. It's still one of my Achilles heels. I hate welding vertically with the stick welder, so once I get all this done, I'm gonna move over to the MIG for areas that I can reach with the MIG. It's just a lot easier doing vertical welds that way. Horizontal, I have no trouble, and I use 5/32 and 3/32 rod on the small stuff when needed. I like the 5/32 because it puddles up better and definitely lays a little more metal down quicker. So anyway, slow and go, easy peasy. It's famous cliche words, but it all seems to take more time than expected, as with every project we tackle, it seems. But it's working out pretty good. Once we, so this is my third last panel. The next day I do the one on the left, and then across the ways you'll see me working on the last panel of the living room as well. And then we move forward. So skipping ahead a little bit, I'm on the last panel on that side of the wall. Basically, I'm going to skip a few parts here just so you don't see the same thing over and over again. But anyway, it's just a lot of little welding. Seam weld every one of these, and then hoist it into place with the jib boom, and work my way there. I'm not sure why the camera moved there, but hey, it did. Funny. So after all welding and stuff, you can see the panels flipped over. The outside parts are going, the color ones are going out. Getting the jib boom ready, I made a little hole with the plasma cutter at the top, put the hook through it, and then I just hoist it up and put it in place. Just rinse and repeat several steps over and over again. This was probably the next day after doing the middle section, but in any case, I'm not trying to kill myself, so I'm doing one set of panels a day, and that seems to be a pretty good flow. This is hard to get help on because I'm the only one that welds up stuff. So once we get moving to the inner stuff and doing even the roof, we'll be able to get a few hands on it, and it should go a lot quicker. So here I'm moving on to basically, before I finish the last panel in the living room, I'm going to have to cut a couple of access holes so we can get into the living room. This is the kitchen. It's a double wide kitchen area. Right where I'm cutting, there's a wall. It's roughly 7 feet wide that stays, and that's the part of the entryway from the garage, and a wall that cuts off the dining room from the main entry hall. You'll see that later, but in any case, I'm cutting access holes so we can get stuff in and out, and we can walk around no problem. Plasma cutter, fantastic tool. Um, does the trick. These panels are a little lighter. I don't know if I mentioned that before in prior videos, but they're a little bit smaller than the end panels on the containers, but they still cut like butter. So here's the door being cut out from the kitchen area, hallway area, into the garage. That'll be the real doorway leading into the garage. Anyway, this just before I did these last few cuts, I had to change the consumables on the plasma cutter, and it starts cutting really nice. I've noticed it when it starts turning kind of green when you're cutting, your consumables are going away, and it starts puking out the tips. So luckily I have a whole bunch. I'm on my second plasma kit from Miller, and they with all the consumables on it. But regardless, it's I think the only way to go. I wouldn't want to use a cutoff wheel and standing like this and making a big mess. And just like that, a couple more cuts, and then I punch the. I want to put a couple of pieces of wood on the concrete in the garage area, so when this falls, it won't scar up the concrete. And a few seconds here, and we have a door. Dink! Ta-da! Magic. Here's a close-up of my little welding with 5/32 rod. This is seaming the first weld for seaming the panels together. It goes pretty good. Most of the panels, I tried to pick the straightest ones I had. Some of them were pretty dinged up. I think if, we're not going to do this again, but if I was to ask for containers, I'd try to make them be a little bit nicer. Straighter. There are a lot of scars on these guys, and it just made this part a little bit harder, but worked out for everything else. And we are going to use the leftover panels probably for the back patio, more concrete work, because it's actually the cheapest way to go, and it'll be structurally a little stronger than just doing 2x4 joists and rafters and stuff like that. So just a small little detail. Two panels. I'm finally to the roof height where I don't have to put a triangle piece on top. I actually get to cut one off. So I just used a handy dandy straight edge 3-inch angle iron, and then used a cutoff wheel. I was gonna do the plasma, but it's not quite as a true line, and with the cutoff wheel, it makes it nice and true. And then of course it's easier to kind of weld up in the angle iron on the support pieces on the roof line. But no big deal. I actually ran out of cutting wheels, so I was using ones that I found on the floor that were still usable, and I had to keep switching them out. So remind myself to buy a few more, because I used a lot of them. And just for another quickie, here's the boom lifting the last panel in place. I'm not going to show you all the weld up and stuff, but it's kind of fun watching the panels go in place and just heave it around and slide it in and do a quick weld. So here I am moving the scaffold in place, put against the panel before I unhook it from the boom. That was a pain in the butt because believe it or not, the coagulation of the steel and the width of the scaffold does not work too well. The wheels want to kind of run up on each edge, so I have to, manhandle it in place. But it worked okay. It just wasn't fun. So quick weld up on the last panel, and we can consider the walls done. You can still see some light coming through certain areas. Those I'm going to have to plug. I'm going to use, it's all temporary, right? Because we're going to put walls and roof and off and stuff on there. But I'll be doing that tape, roofing tape. It's that aluminized tar junk that plugs up stuff pretty good where there are holes, and that'll keep the main water out. Not too worried about water really getting in too much because we're just doing concrete floors next, well, after the roof. But once we get moving on the framing, then I'll make sure everything's super dried in. But in any case, working out pretty good. We'll see you next time. Ciao.